Hello everyone, today I would like to show you how to unwrap in Blender. Today this is the first video with the new microphone. We have the Blues Novel, so I hope you can hear me better than before. So what are we going to see today? We are going to see how to unwrap. We are going to unwrap primitives, a box, a cylinder, a sphere. Then we are going to unwrap a hard surface model from a robot, and then we are going to unwrap a head, a face of a character. So let's get started.
Subscribe now.
So what is unwrap? Unwrap, here I have a cow. This is a 3D model. So before we can add textures to the cow, we need to unwrap it, unwrap the model. So this cow is more or less like this 2D version of the cow. This is the unwrap of this cow, or a similar cow. What is unwrap? The unwrap is the 3D model transformed into a 2D version. So we need to cut some edges from the 3D model so the 3D model can open and unwrap into a 2D space, like unwrap it into a table. So let's see how to do it in Blender and what you need to know to unwrap correctly. So the first thing you need to do is to check the scale of the object. When you add a new object in Blender, I'm going to add a cube. If you press N, so you can open this side menu, in the first tab item, you're going to see that the scale is all set to 1. When you create an object from scratch, the scale always is 1 in the 3 axes. So maybe you're starting modeling and you say, okay, I'm going to scale it a bit like this, or make it a bit wider, and then you go to edit mode and start modeling the object. But the object will have different scales in the different axes. So if you unwrap the model with these settings, the unwrap will be stretched. So what you need to do is to apply the scale. Here I have the same box, but the left box is with the scale applied, and the right box is with the scale not applied. So what you need to do is to apply the scale. So I'm going to press Ctrl A and hit and press scale. This menu is the apply menu, and here I'm going to press apply scale, and you will notice that these settings will set to 1 again, the same as when we create a model from 0. So press Ctrl A and choose scale. Now, as you can see, every axis has only one in the 3 axes. So that is the first step. If you don't do this, the unwrap will be stretched and you won't know why. Second step, I'm going to isolate the object so you can see it better with the slash button on top of the 8 in the numpad. Go to edit mode. You can go with this menu, or you can press tab also. And now we need to define those edges where we need to open the object, the same as I showed you with the cow. You can go to edge selection, or you can press 2. 2 is for edge selection, and just select the edges you want to Blender use to unwrap the model. So I'm going to select some edges to unwrap this. I'm going to select these edges and check what happens. Now go to the UV menu. I'm going to show you like this. Go to the UV menu and select Mark Seam. Mark Seam. Mark Seam is the same as this. Select those edges where we want to cut the model and let Blender to open it. So UV, Mark Seam, and you're going to see now that the edges are red. If I click outside the mesh, you will notice that it's still red. Now select everything with A, or also you can click and drag and select everything, or you can select A. A is for select all. And now you can do in two different ways. You can just drag this window. This is the timeline. This is by default you're going to see the timeline down here, and you can change this window with the UV editor, this one, the UV editor, and here you will see the Unwrap. Every time you add a primitive object in Blender, right now all the primitive objects are already unwrapped, so you don't need to unwrap a box, a sphere, a cylinder. But I'm going to reset the UVs so we can make it right now. We can do it right now. So I'm going to again go to UV and I'm going to reset UVs. It's something like erasing the UVs. So I'm going to click reset, and this is how you're going to see most of the cases your objects before unwrapping your object. Now with everything selected, go to UV and choose Unwrap, the first option, Unwrap. Choose Unwrap, and now you're going to see the same box, this box, but unwrapped in a 2D dimensions. Just before unwrapping, it will appear this option, this little box right here. If you click in here, you're going to open the menu, and you can change some parameters of the unwrap. One parameter that is important to keep in mind is the margin between the margin. If you increase the margin, you will notice that the space between the islands or between these polygons increases. So you're going to see that we have the box unwrapped here. So let's unwrap a cylinder. It's exactly the same, but I'm going to show you, instead of changing this window with the UV editor, I'm going to show you another way. Another way of doing the same is going to the UV editing, when you select the UV editing tab, Blender automatically change the viewports, so it's faster to create the UVs. So here we have the cylinder. As I mentioned, all the primitives has already the UVs, has the UVs. So I'm going to reset the UVs. I'm going to go to the UV menu. I'm going to reset the UVs. There you go. And I'm going to make it from scratch so we can learn unwrapping the model. Step 1, select the edges you want to Blender, so Blender can open the model. For instance, I'm going to select the top of the cylinder, the bottom of the cylinder. I press Alt and click, Alt Shift and click, and I'm going to select one vertical edge. So the wall of the cylinder can open too. Go to the UV menu, select Mark Seam. Now all the edges are red. Select everything with A. Go again to the UV menu and choose Unwrap. And as you can see, here we have the wall of the cylinder, the top and the bottom. If you would like to know which is the bottom and which is the top, you can activate this button. So when you select the mesh in the UV editor, will be selected also in the 3D viewport. So if we select everything here, you will notice that I'm going to select the polygon so it's easier. And as you can see, if I select the top, this is the top, this is the bottom, this is this polygon, this is this polygon, and so on. Also, if you want to increase the margins between the islands is a polygon or a group of polygons that are separated from the rest of the polygons. For instance, this polygon is separated from the rest. Also this one. And this wall is the wall of the cylinder. Okay, so you can move it, you can rotate it with R, you can scale it with S, but in general you won't need to scale it. Maybe you could move it, rotate it to arrange the islands and to use the space of the UV. So let's unwrap this sphere. As always, the primitive objects are already unwrapped, but we are going to unwrap it from scratch. So I'm going to select UV, I'm going to press reset, and we are going to unwrap it again. The sphere there are different ways to unwrap a sphere. One way is to cut it in two, like so. I'm going to press UV, Mark Seam, select everything with A, choose UV, select Unwrap, and the sphere is unwrapped. So here you can see the sphere and the two islands. If you unwrap it and you want to change the margins, but you can't see the unwrap options, just unwrap it again and the unwrap options will appear, and you will be able to change the margins, for instance, of the islands. Let's go to the robot. Here we have the robot. The robot is a really good example for hard surface modeling. So let's unwrap the grenade. Go to edit mode. Here the grenade is composed by several parts, so we can unwrap each part independently. So for instance, we could unwrap this part first. We can press Ctrl I and press H to hide all the rest of the meshes, so it's easier to see the model. And here this is like a cylinder. It's the same. So we can select all the perimeter, like the top of the cylinder, like so, I'm pressing Alt and Shift click. See, we can also select the bottom. Like so. And now we need to mark some seams here, so this side of the mesh can be unwrapped also. So I'm going to select maybe this edge. I'm going to try. I'm going to the UV menu, mark seam. Now all the seams are red. I select everything with A, and again press U. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. You can go to the UV menu with the mouse, or if you want to make it faster, you can press U from Unwrap, and this menu is the same as this menu. So press U and choose Unwrap, and now the object is unwrapped. This is the top, the bottom, and all this the wall of this object. So let's unwrap another thing. If you want to unhide the rest of the mesh, you can press Alt and H. That will show the hidden mesh, and we can unwrap another part. For instance, this piece, and again Control I to invert the selection. Press H to hide, and now we can. I want to hide this also, and now we can unwrap this. Okay, this is like a box, so we can do the same. Select all the perimeter, Alt and click, Alt and click with Shift, like so. And now if we select one vertical edge, the width of this mesh will be able to unwrap also. So with all the edges selected, I'm going to press UV, mark seam, all the edges are red. I select everything. Remember to select everything. If you don't select everything, it won't unwrap. Or if you select only a part, for instance this polygon, and you choose unwrap, will unwrap only this polygon. So don't worry if this happens. Just select everything with A, choose U, and select unwrap, and everything is unwrapped. There you go. The same is for the rest of the model. For instance, if you want to, I want to press Alt H to unhide, and if you want to, for instance, how to unwrap this, I'm going to press L to select all the faces, the vertices that are connected with the part of the mesh that is below the cursor. If I press L here, we'll select this mesh. If I press L here, we'll select that mesh. So I'm going to press L. I'm going to invert the selection, Control I, press H. That is only to work easier. Okay, this is like a cylinder. Here are some boxes. This is like a cylinder, and here is almost like another box inside the cylinder. So let's unwrap it like a cylinder. I'm going to select edges, the edge selection mode. I'm going to select the bottom of the grenade. I'm going to select this. This will take a while, but this is the top of the grenade. We're going to select it. so you can see how to unwrap this object. And now we are going to select also this edge, so all the top of the grenade will be able to unwrap. There we go. What else? We're going to select all these edges. This we need we will need to mark seams to all these boxes. So we need to separate this part. So I'm going to select all these edges like so. There you go. And what else? This part. So I'm going to mark these edges as seams. UV, mark seam. All the seams, all the edges are red now. And I'm going to unwrap it. And if something is not unwrapped well, I'm going to add more seams and so on. So I'm going to select everything with A. I went to the UV menu, select unwrap. And here we have the grenade unwrap. This is the top of the grenade. I think this is okay. I think these are these holes. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But the main problem that I forgot is to create a vertical seam, because this is the main body of the grenade. So it's not unwrapped well. And how you can know if the unwrap is okay or not? Because there are other tools where you can see if there are stretching or there is some problem with the UV. Here in the display options of the UVs, you can select display stretch. The display stretch will allow you to know where the model is not unwrapping well. For instance, all these parts of the model are not unwrapped well. How do you know? Because when the color is blue, it's perfect. When the color is light blue, green, yellow, there is distortion with the unwrap. Also, we have distortion here. What is the distortion? The distortion is when you unwrap the model into the UV editor, into the UV space, the polygons has a different shape, a different proportion compared with the 3D model. So if the shape, if the proportion, if the angles of the polygons are not the same, it will show you that distortion with the color. Blue is okay, and when the color turns to warm colors, is worst. So light blue has some distortion, and green, yellow, this is a lot of distortion, so we need to fix this. And another way to check the distortion is creating a new texture, a checker texture, and see how that texture applies to the object. So one way is this is one way, and we are going to see the other way, so we can check the distortion. So I'm going to create a new texture here in the options of the UV editor. I'm going to create a new texture. I'm going to change the name to checker This is like the check, like the, this is a black and white texture. You can leave the resolution like that, and we're going to change the texture. Instead of making a a black texture, we are going to select this option and choose UV grid. The UV grid is the checker. So choose UV grid and click OK, and now Blender will create this texture made with black and white squares. All these squares are parallel between themselves. They have this like a plus sign. So with this texture you can check if there is distortion. If this texture, when you see the texture applied to the object, the squares are not square, or this plus sign is not exactly the same, that means that there is distortion in the Unwrap. So how you can see this texture in the model? You need to go to the, I'm going to go to the object mode. I'm going to erase all the materials of the object so you can see it from scratch. You need to create a new material. Here in the material tab, press new, change the name to checker so you can know what material is checker. And here in the base color, in this circle, press this circle. Here you can load different textures. We need to load an image texture because this checker that we already created is an image texture. It's an image made of pixels. So press base color, choose image texture, and here you can load this texture, the checker. So you can open and look for a texture in your local hard drive. You can create a new texture, or you can load an image texture that is already inside the blend file, inside your project, inside your blend file. This checker is already in our blend file, so I'm going to click here, and here are all the textures that I am using in this project. So I'm going to choose checker. Here is the checker, or also you can type checker so you can clean up a bit this list. Choose checker. You won't be able to see the texture until you go to the display options and choose texture. When you choose texture, the checker will appear in the model. So as you can see, there are some parts of the model where the checker is correctly applied, and other parts of the mesh is really bad. For instance, in this part, I want to hide the rest of the mesh. The unwrap is okay. Why? Because the checker is not distorted. It's not distorted. The squares are squares. All the squares are parallel between themselves. This sign looks okay, looks good. Also, the top of this mesh. But if I unhide everything, you will notice that this is okay also. This is okay also. The top of the grenade is okay. Is okay. I'm going to unwrap. I'm going to hide the rest of the mesh. Control I, H. So as you can see, the top of the grenade is okay. As you can see also here, this is blue and this is okay, but the rest of the mesh, almost the rest of the mesh, has these different colors. This is light blue, this is almost like a green, so it has a lot of distortion. And with the checker you can see the distortion also, because here the squares have distortion, here the squares has certain size, and here are a lot bigger, so that's not good. And the plus sign is also very stretched. So we're going to fix this. So what we need to do is we can also go back to the material view so we can see better the seams. And we need to create a vertical seam, so this can be unwrapped. So I'm going to edge selection mode, select a vertical selection. If you want to select from here to here, you can just press Ctrl and click, and that will select the shortest path between the first and the last edge. Again, UV, mark seam, select everything with A, press U, unwrap, and now the grenade is at least better than before. If we enable again the texture option, now the checker is a lot better than before. So now what we can do is adjust these holes. So this can be unwrapped correctly because we need to create a bit more, a couple of seams. So I'm going to select these edges, so Blender can separate this part from the other, and I select this edge because that way this will be like a strip, like a rectangular strip. Go to UV, mark seam. I'm going to select everything with A, U for unwrap, and now instead of this we are getting this. This is blue, so it's okay, and here it's also okay because there is no distortion. If I increase the size of this island, I want to scale it so you can see that the checker is okay. As you can see, the checker is okay now. What we need to do is do the same for the rest of the mesh. I'm not going to do it because it's redundant, but now the grenade is better than before, is quite good now. The part we need we need still to create more seams is this part. So maybe this part, if we create an edge, if we create a seam here, maybe it's enough. I want to create a seam here, select everything, I want to unwrap again, and no, this is not a good solution. So we're going to select all these edges, and we will need to separate all these little boxes of the grenade. So don't worry if you don't get the perfect result in the first step, because this takes some time. This takes some errors. So again, UV, mark sim, select everything with A, and let's see how change the UV. Press U, unwrap, and now all these little boxes are blue, so there is no distortion in the little blue boxes. We have a little distortion here, so we should need to create more sims here. So let's see which box is this one. Okay, if we add some edges, some sims here, this will be unwrap better. Unwrap, I want to unwrap only this so I can see how it's unwrapped. It's unwrapped, okay. Select everything. As you can see, it's unwrapped, okay. Select everything, choose U, unwrap. I'm going to reduce the margin so we can use better the U space. And we need to do the same as we did with the last box, little box. We need to do the same for the rest. Also for the boxes, for the holes, sorry. Now we are going to unwrap the face. Here I have the face. I'm going to isolate one face. I'm going to deactivate the texture, and one way to unwrap the head is mark a seam from the front head to the back and separate the ears and the nose strips. So that's the way to one way to unwrap the head. So we are going to do it right now. I'm going to enter 2D mode. This already has the seams, but I'm going to erase them. UV, clear seam, and we're going to mark the seams from scratch. So I'm going to select, for instance, this edge, Control and click, Control and click. This will be the first seam. UV, mark seam. There we go. I'm going to separate also the ears. So this model has a lot of polygons. It's not a typical model, but we're going to do it so you can see one way to unwrap this. UV, mark seam. Let's go to the other side. I'm pressing Ctrl, so Blender selects the shortest path. UV, mark seam, and you're going to mark seams also here. UV, mark seam, and also this side of the face. UV, mark seam, and then the nose tips, we can separate the nose tips also. UV, mark seam, UV, mark seam, and then select everything, UV, unwrap, and it's unwrapped. So that's a way how you can unwrap a face. Another thing I would like to show you is how to export the UVs, how to export the UV layout to another software. So if you're going to use Substance Painter or 3D Code, you don't need to do this. But if you're going to paint with Photoshop or another 2D painting software, you're going to need the UV layout. So when you are painting, for instance in Photoshop, you will be able to know where are you painting. It's very simple. Just go to the UV menu inside the UV editor window, go to UV, select export UV layout, and here you can select or choose the name of your object. For instance, grenade. This is not a grenade, but just for example, grenade UV, and you can select choose if you want to export it as a PNG or as an EPS or SVG. If you want a vectographic format, choose export UV layout, and that will export this as a PNG or the format that you choose. To end the video, I would like to comment other points to take into account when we are unwrapping a 3D model. The first thing to keep in mind is don't overlap polygons or islands. This is not good, and this is also not good. Like so. You won't move the vertex, but maybe you are unwrapping a model, it's not really well unwrapped, and maybe there are some polygons over others. So this is not good. The overlays are not good. Second, all the islands need to be inside the UV space. Don't put UV islands outside the UV space. Third, leave some margin between the islands. Unwrap it and then leave some margin. This is really small margin, so go to this option, to the margin, and increase a bit the margin. Okay, so leave some margin. Third, don't scale some parts of the islands independently from the others. Why? Because if you scale, for instance, this is the bottom of the cylinder, this island will have less resolution than the other parts of the model. So if I make it really extreme, so you can see this has less resolution than this part. When you can scale some things, when there are parts that are really small, or you won't be able to see a lot in the model. It's important to have the same resolution in all the model. So if this part of the model has the checker has this size, the rest of the model must have almost the same size also. So I think that's all. If you have any comments, please let me know. I hope this could be useful, and see you in the next video.